My fellow white people and I love and admire a lot of stuff that Black and Indigenous people bring to the table. Some of it's great, some of it's really not. When I was a kid, the big in thing to do was lay out in the sun to get as tan as possible. Well, I didn't tan except in tiny melanin freckles, but these days, when I see the dermatologist, it's because something might be turning into cancer. My husband had significant facial work because of youthful tanning. And we also love jazz and hip hop and Black fashion sense. We do it with Native American culture and Asian cultures and others too. We admire what people of color produce with their creativity.
Do white people pay so much attention to Black people if they don't like them? You would think if you didn't like something, why would you be paying attention to it? I don't pay attention to things I don't like.
What's the answer?
The answer is the liar knows what lie he told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer is over here, but the answer is really over here, I'm still going to be looking over here. Me, the one that tricked, because I know this is the right answer. Black people have lost their identity, but our oppressors have not lost our identity. That's just why they chopped those noses off of the Pharaoh and the Sphinx in Egypt in the first place, is because without this nose, we can tell you this is whoever it is. But with that nigga nose, it can only be niggas. Why would somebody vandalize a whole face and only vandalize one part? Nobody wanted to knock an eye off or take an ear off, or no chins missing. No, just the nose.
Hello family, hello friends, welcome back again to my channel. Now, do you know that the world studies Black culture like a secret classroom? Yes, the world studies or watches the Black Americans like a secret classroom. You know, they study Black culture, they study Black struggle, they study Black resilience, and even the Black silence. Even when they pretend they don't, they do. Now, white folks themselves are finally admitting the truth that they are studying the Black culture. They are studying the Black struggles. Some of them even want to be Black. The world copies everything Black Americans create. The world learns from Black survivals and Black innovations. The world even studies Black power because they fear and admire the Black power. Black America is the blueprint, and the world knows that Black America is the blueprint of everything that exists in the world.
My fellow white people and I love and admire a lot of stuff that Black and Indigenous people bring to the table. Some of it's great, some of it's really not. When I was a kid, the big in thing to do was lay out in the sun to get as tan as possible. Well, I didn't tan except in tiny melanin freckles, but these days, when I see the dermatologist, it's because something might be turning into cancer. My husband had significant facial work because of youthful tanning. And we also love jazz and hip hop and Black fashion sense. We do it with Native American culture and Asian cultures and others too. We admire what people of color produce with their creativity. So why do we continue to make life harder for them? It's because cultural admiration and systemic equity are not the same thing. White people have enjoyed the products of Black creativity for a whole lot of years while distracting ourselves from Black struggles. It's called cultural appropriation, taking the art, the rhythm, the language, or the style of a marginalized group while maintaining or benefiting from the structures that keep that group marginalized. For centuries, our laws and institutions have rewarded white people for keeping racial lines intact in terms of laws and real estate and a lot of things like that. While pop culture rewards us for borrowing whatever's trendy, from Black communities. Or for me, it was Asian and Native communities. Meditation, fashion, ways of thinking. Think of Elvis, entire genres of music that were built on Black genius, but profited white folks. That pattern runs deep still today. People feel safe copying culture because it's fun and it's profitable and it's supposed to be complementary. But challenging power to protect those creative people is threatening. The short version is that copying doesn't interfere with our privilege, but equality could. Admiring can work for everyone, as long as we're not also stealing or taking credit for. I'm not an expert, just an eager learner like you. Please share and repost and support me through the link in my bio if you'd like to support my work. Get curious.
A lot of you guys know that I've decided that Ron DeSantis doesn't want me to know Black history. And so I've decided for the month of February to study Black history and really dig deep and learn this from the Black experience, and then make videos for you guys all month on the stuff that I've learned. So I wanted to make this video to preface these lessons that are going to be coming out starting today, actually. Now, my goal in attacking this project was not to master a bunch of facts and dates and stories and things like that, because my belief as I've studied history over the decades is that a historical event is not an isolated circumstance that happens, right? It's tied to dozens of other historical events behind it and dozens more that will come along its way. It's all woven together in this fabric that creates a story. And what I want to do is I want to understand the story of Black America. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I really want to sink myself deeply into the thoughts, the feelings, the frustrations, the triumphs, the struggles, and learn about real people in those stories and how those relate to the overall Black experience, and then be able to pass on what I'm learning to whoever else is interested. So as I started, I was also very conscious of whitewashing, and I'm familiar with how that's happened. This is the practice, of course, of writing our history in a way that favors white people and glosses over the realities of the Black experience. And I was sure I was going to learn a lot of stuff from a new perspective. However, I want to tell you that in spite of this awareness that I'd find some examples, I have been shocked at what I have found. Firstly, it was extremely difficult to even find an authentic, honest version of Black history. I had to dig down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and find Black creators and Black writers and things like that would really tell me the real story, not the whitewash one. And it's been very difficult. That's really shown me like how that story has been oppressed. Secondly, the stuff that I found literally made me sick to my stomach. I would share it in the evenings when my girlfriend came home with her, and we would literally be almost in tears talking about some of this stuff. I knew that the South was very resentful at losing the war and the economic struggles that followed because they didn't have slaves, but I didn't really realize the full extent of how racism was exemplified across the entire country, including the North and the Midwest and everywhere else. Neither did I have any idea just how bad it was, and how from the very beginnings of our country, Black Americans, and up till this present moment, by the way, Black Americans have been struggling to survive and thrive in a pervasively hostile and racist country. So studying our history, honestly, is an extremely difficult task, but we're called to that difficult task of realizing how our ancestors oppressed other people and created a society based on systemic racism that continues to oppress those people today. However, looking at this history, honestly, is literally the only way that we can move forward as a country and as individuals of that country. Our goal, of course, is to become more educated. It's to become more compassionate. It's to become better than our ancestors so that we don't relive their mistakes and their failures, right? So I'm going to approach this stuff in a broad stroke manner, and I'm going to try to bring people into a deeper experience of what it must be like and how it is like to be Black in America. Now, this may seem like a strange project for a white man, and I understand that. How could I possibly know, much less teach, the Black experience? The answer is I can't. I won't ever fully be able to know or feel what it is to be a Black American. That's just a simple fact. However, my goal as a human being is to learn about other people, right? And to put myself in their shoes as best as possible and really try to understand them. And I feel like this is necessary for all of us to do. But for me, it's the white male experience. It's necessary for me to go back and study this history and take accountability for how that history has affected me in my life today, right? Like some might call that white privilege, right? Okay. It would be much the same as if we look out and there's women writing about misogyny and feminism and things like that, right? But what a power when the very people who have oppressed those women are now coming out and taking accountability for that and writing about it. Now, I ask forgiveness in advance from any of my Black friends or my new Black friends that hopefully I will meet, for my ignorance and for the continued mistakes I'm going to make along this journey. And I will ask a couple of things of both my Black friends and my white friends. As we engage in the comments in these videos, and some of these I'm sure are going to go viral just based on the past of some of my historical videos. But let's engage as a community of people. Let's be the leaders. Let's be the people who do this right. So white people, if you're like me and you're ignorant and you're like, I want to learn this stuff, then let's learn it together. But open yourselves up to asking questions. Don't feel like you're going to ask a dumb question or you're going to be attacked or this or that. And Black creators, please be patient with us, because the journey from ignorance to educated is a long journey. It's a long, arduous journey. And there's lots of pockets of continued ignorance along the way, right? So be patient with us as we learn this stuff, and please chime in and teach us from your experience. That's what we really need, is for people to come together and talk about this stuff, right? So, without further ado, I'm going to end this video and you can go see the first lesson, which is called Liberty Enlightening the World. A surprising one. I didn't think I'd start with that, but I think this will kick it off really well. Peace and love, everybody.
Just a white guy trying to learn Black history. I was today years old when I learned about the Gullah Geechee people. Can't believe I didn't know about this. They're descendants of enslaved people from Central and West Africa. And they live on the southern Atlantic coast from Jacksonville, North Carolina down to Jacksonville, Florida. And because they were somewhat insulated on the plantations out on the sea islands and coastal plains, they were able to build kind of a new coherent culture out of so many disparate ones. They speak Gullah, which is like a Creole English with African words and grammar mixed in. And they're a vibrant community even today. I was so fascinated to learn about this group of people who went through something so horrific as slavery as a community that it brought them together and sort of forged a new nation out of that fire. I just think that's amazing. Imagine having this in your family history. I know we get lost in our doom scrolling and our social media arguments. You never know the perspective that someone's looking at the world through unless we take a closer look. But where do some white people get the idea that they're better in the first place? Like, where does that come from? I went to Fort Mose in St. Augustine, Florida. It's part of the Black Heritage Trail. And I brought a new friend with me this time, and she made a really good point. I'm here with Natavia.
Hi, I'm Natavia.
What do you think about the experience of Black Americans and enslaved peoples? And
I definitely think that there is a lot of information that is left out, but I also do hate the fact that a lot of our history begins with slavery, because, you know, we had a history before that. And I feel like a lot of people do focus on the hard times, and slavery definitely wasn't right, but I feel like there's a lot more that we could learn. Yeah, I feel like that is also what kind of can lead to an inferiority complex. And so when people learn more about themselves and you're not necessarily focusing on the bad, it changes your mindset.
I'll say that the other side of that is it also leads to a false sense of superiority. Yeah. Too many white people still think because Europeans had superior military technology, conquered brown people around the globe, it creates this idea in people's mind that white people are better. What a sickness.
I agree. I definitely agree.
It was a good reminder for me as someone who's trying to fill in my blind spots on race, that only focusing on the negative things or the suffering also reinforces that identity. So that was good to remember. Fort Mose is amazing if you can visit. It's the site of the first free Black community in what is now the United States. There's a dozen or more sites you can visit on the Black Heritage Trail, and it's all really well preserved, and there's so many rich stories to absorb. I highly recommend.
It's Black History Month. Let's not mess this up, white people. First, don't ask why there's not a White History Month. That's ridiculous. It's not okay. Don't do it. Every month is White History Month. We know this. Don't do it. What you can do is think about all the ways that white folks and whiteness are artificially elevated in the stories we tell about our people, our heroes, our places, the celebrations. That would be useful for Black History Month. The next thing, don't artificially inject yourself into black places and around black people. If you never post pictures with your one black friend, don't do it in February. We already know who you are. Instead, what you can do is think about how come all the people in your life are white? How come when you celebrate important events in your life, it's always around white people? Why is that? What in the world is going on? Next, don't feel guilty and then try to put on black culture and act like you're celebrating. Don't appropriate this Black History Month. For the love of God, cut your dreads, white people. Your hair don't do that. But it's more than that. Don't all of a sudden start using slang that you think is black. If you don't listen to hip-hop, don't all of a sudden start listening to hip-hop. Just be yourself. If you're curious, ask a question. That's okay. What you can do is give gratitude and show appreciation for the ways that black people have contributed to American culture. Let me tell you, it's in every way. Everything you think is cool probably comes from black people. And then we can learn about our own cultures. What did whiteness cost us? How did it change our cultures? Why don't we speak our languages? Why don't we pray to our gods? Why don't we do our dances? What happened? What in the world happened? So those are some ways that we can be in right relationship this Black History Month and celebrate and show respect without causing harm. It's going to be really, really important we do that, particularly this Black History Month, because we got a whole administration and a whole group of people that are out here trying to attack anything that's not white, that's not straight, that's not cis, that's not all these things. And we got to stand up. This is one way that we can stand up. Don't forget to like, follow, and share this with a friend. You know, we all need it. Sharing is caring, people. Sharing is caring. Oh, I forgot this one. Don't complain about Kendrick at the Super Bowl. Don't do that. PPS. Go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know, how are y'all going to celebrate Black History Month without pissing people off?
I don't know why this woman has not deleted this post yet, but she made a post that was talking about cleanliness and saying that it was cultural, and basically saying that because black people used to be enslaved and they were dirty, that they have embedded it in their culture that they need to be more clean. It was fucking weird. I don't know. Here's what I have to say about it. She needs to go do some research on the African Moors. African Moors went into Europe and literally told the Europeans, like, you need to bathe. There are germs. This is why you're dying. This is why you're having diseases spread like crazy. Get the animals out of your house. Like, they went and taught Europeans how to not be disgusting. Like, what are we talking about? One more thing. I really hate when people talk about Black history as if it started with slavery. Like, Africa was and is a wealthy continent and had kingdoms, and Mansa Musa was the wealthiest man in the world. They had the first major library. They had amazing architecture. They had the Dahomes, which is like the female warriors. Like, there's so much more history there that people ignore and just think everything started at slavery, and that shit drives me crazy.
White women, watch this video and I'll be right back.
I don't know why, but as a white woman, I love correcting other white women about black hair. I don't know why. Marginalized cultures, like African slaves, don't pass things on to white people. White people steal those things. That's called cultural appropriation. Like this, or this. So I'd like to talk about this absolutely fantastic article I just saw a couple weeks ago about the history of black hairstyles. Before I even get into the various African cultures that you seem to be such an expert on, let's talk about African American culture. Growing up, many black women have fond memories of sitting between the legs of mothers and aunties, head tilted to one side as our hair was tightly braided. It's almost a rite of passage, sitting for hours, a sore scalp, the soothing feeling of cool gel running between the neatly parted braids at the end. Considering you don't even know what Bantu knots are, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that that's not part of your culture. It is absolutely a major fixture in black cultures. Bantu knots, along with other types of hairstyles, became popular in the 1500s amongst African slaves in South America. A Bantu knot symbolized that a person was heading towards a mountainous area and signaled other slaves to either follow them, help conceal them, or aid them in some other way. Bantu knots, not twisty buns or whatever you call them. Tight braids gathered up in a bun called departes symbolized to other slaves that a slave was about to leave and that their departure was imminent. Cornrows are called cornrows because slaves would often take seeds and kernels of corn or various other crops so that they could take them with them to their new settlement and start crops for their own people once they escaped.
Our ancestors would place rice, seeds, and sometimes gold on the scalp between two sections of hair. They did this so that if they were captured and forced to voyage across the Atlantic, they'd at least have a small amount of food for sustenance.
Form follows function. That function was survival and escape. And if you are not respectful and mindful of the mindset of those people when they created these hairstyles, you don't know what a Bantu knot is, then you don't get to argue with black people about their hair. Culture is about experience. Culture is personal and emotional. It's funny, I've been looking at all these pictures and I can't find any with any white people in them. Why do you think that is?
That's what I'm talking about. That is someone that understood the assignment. Yes! It's more than just hair. God! Love it! I'm one of those teachers that when I see a student, now I'm not saying she's actually a student of mine or anything like that, but I'm a type of person when I'm teaching and I see people getting it, it just gives me so much excitement. It's like, yes! Yes, you got it! Love it. I love it. I love it. Let me know what you think in the comment section about how, damn, I lost my train of thought and I'm not redoing this. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this video. Remember, diversity equal power. We can change the world when we work together and protect black women. Until next time.
How did you explain that boat fight to your girl? I always wondered how niggas did that. Because the internet, you know, made it seem racial. You know what I mean? And it was up to black people who had white people in their life to explain what the fuck was going on. It wasn't racial. Well, that was a cultural phenomenon. For those who didn't like see it, I don't know how you didn't see it, but there was a fight at a dock, you know what I mean, where it looked like a bunch of white people were being beat up by black people. That's how it looked. And, that's not what was happening. That's what it looked like to the untrained eye. But I watched that video 400 times. And I can assure you it was different than that. There are some details that they're leaving out. All right, first of all, if you watch it, most of the black people fighting in that video worked there. That is a very important detail. That means that was not a bunch of black people beating up white people. That was a bunch of black people who worked customer service. That's what you were watching. If you know anything about black people who work customer service, they do their job. They go in, they do what they're supposed to do. But they pretty much have two rules. They go in and they be like, oh, hope none of my coworkers get on my nerves. And I wish one of these customers would put their goddamn hands on me. That's pretty much. And it just so happened that it was some white guys who made their dream come true. But they made it racial. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I saw it all over the internet. People were talking about, look at all these black people being violent like they always are, which is fucked up because black people aren't violent. People just don't know the culture. You know what I mean? We take disrespect differently. Most cultures of people, if you say something disrespectful to them, they'll think, wow, this person doesn't think enough of me to watch their mouth while they're speaking to me. And black people are different. Whenever you say something disrespectful to a black person, they think, oh, you think you can beat my ass. That's wild, nigga. That's crazy. So that's basically what happened. It was about It was about 25 people with that same mindset. And I felt bad. I felt bad for the white guys. You know what I mean? I did. I don't say no. I'm going to tell you why I felt bad for them, you know, because they got turned into some type of villains. And, you know, they looked like they were the symbol against black unity, because everybody was like, these black people came together to fight crime. Like there was some black unity. We don't know if all those black people came together to help that one nigga, you know. We don't, you know. They might not even have liked this nigga for real. He was getting beat up. They were probably like, look at Kevin getting his ass whooped. He always talking shit. I knew somebody was gonna get him. You know, and they sitting over there like, hey man, you gonna help him? I'm gonna jump in, because I got some shit to get off my chest. I'm not gonna let this opportunity pass me by. I've been wanting to whoop people's ass at this establishment for a while. This is the first time I get a pass. That's why I felt bad for the white guys. Ain't no telling what was being said while they was getting punched. Niggas in the middle of the summer and getting hit. Talking about every Christmas you bitches come in here. We don't know if there was fucking unity at all. And then they tried to make it seem like the white dudes was racist. We have no idea if these guys were racist. No clue. None. For all we know, they were just drunk white guys who didn't want to move their fucking boat. And they just got tired of this nigga arguing with them. And it was like, they were like, man, we done said we not moving the boat. He can't hear us. Just punch this nigga, man. He just, he don't understand words. It's just, for all we know, that was the conversation. I think it would be funny if they were racist. I think that makes the story even more funny. Because if they were racist, that means they believe in stereotypes, which means they're just sitting here beating up this black dude. And then one of them's like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but it's a whole boatload of them right over there. I don't know if we should be doing this. And the leader was like, don't worry about it. Niggas can't swim. Surprise, surprise.
I remember being told that I don't need to scrub my legs because the soap runs down my body. I remember being told that I didn't need to shower today because we had swam at the lake. I remember being told that shampoo is fine because it runs down, it washes everything. I don't remember being told how to clean my vajussi. I remember being not the only white girl in the army learning how to wash properly from the black girls. And they laughed a little bit too, but they stood with us and taught us with love. My mother-in-law has taught me more about myself than my actual mother did. I'm not gonna laugh at you because you don't understand the context of these messages. It is listen to black women and protect black women till I die.
White people do not hate black people, but white people is tired of the degenerate behavior that is coming out of the black community. They're tired of all the whining and crying coming from the black community, and they're tired of black people not doing anything about their own issues. And I know black people are going to say, well, take your ass to a sundown town. But have you been to y'all neighborhoods lately? Those are sundown towns. And the point that I'm trying to make is that your everyday white person that is in your local supermarket, they are not sitting there thinking about what can I do to make this black person's life worse. The fact is, black people seems to have a problem with this top 1%, the people at the top. And quite frankly, white people have a problem with these people as well. And I think white people just know that black people are more than capable of being productive members of society, and they can see outside looking in that we're choosing not to do better. We're choosing to be a part of the system. And quite frankly, white people have been trying to tell black people for years that the Democratic Party is not for them, but black people with their heads up their own asses will not listen, and they just call them racist. White people and black people built this country together, and I think it's about time we start having some respect for each other.
Rubbing my body with a washcloth?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I know. I think we're.
That is like a UTI waiting to happen.
I think we're in the minority. I really do. No, I think we are.
People use washcloths?
I think so.
Like for their body?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, what are you washing your butt with?
My hand.
Oh my God.
Isn't it great?
Chris!
I know, it's my dream.
Just once a day. Just once, maybe twice.
Goes right here. This, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I'm upset.
They say you can't turn a bad girl good, but once a good girl's going back.
Times a week is the average person showering, because I understand you're only supposed to wash your hair like 2 or 3 times a week, and so I probably wash my hair once to twice a week. But and here's the kicker, and I don't want any judgment because this is a judgment-free zone, because this is TikTok. I shower about twice a week. And look, I think I look fine.
Bathe properly. Before that, some thought bathing was dangerous, wet dog. But Europe couldn't accept that black rulers built their future, so they erased them all.
Let's start with the culture influence. Talk of music, talk of dance, talk of fashion, talk of language, all shaped by the black Americans. What black people do today, the world will copy it tomorrow. Black people have turned oppression into art. Talk of the hip-hop, talk of jazz, talk of the blues, talk of gospel, talk of the reggae music. Black people created a global culture with no permission and no funding. The world watches to see what will the black people create next. That shows how much they are following the black people. Talk of the political and social power, civil rights movement, a guidebook for global struggles. The black activism inspired anti-apartheid movements. It also inspired global human rights campaigns and also youth rebellions everywhere in the world. Talk of the survival and resilience. Black Americans thrived despite systems designed to break them. With that, the world now begins to study how do the black people rise again after all these things were done to them. Where does that strength they have come from? Talk of the spiritual significance. Many believe that black Americans are spiritually chosen. White folks fear that anything black people embrace becomes powerful. Let's go to the economy and the trend setting. Billions made from black culture. Corporations secretly track what black Americans like their wear, like the way they speak, what they create. Because if black Americans support it, the world will do. Meaning, black people are the trendsetters. Let's go to the global black identity. Diaspora looks to black America for confidence and direction. They even wonder, how do black people stay bold, loud, proud, and unshakable, despite all that has been done to them? Black Americans are not just part of the culture, they are themselves the culture. And the world must study black America because they lead the trend, they lead the movements, and they lead the future. Black people are the blueprint. They are the trendsetters. So let them keep watching in secret, because God already made black greatness public. And people must now see that black people have been great all along. Black people have got their own privilege. So guys, if you love this conversation, if you love this topic, please subscribe and leave me a comment in the comment section, guys. And may God bless you guys.